What's good, everyone? This is RawTruth Media giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. Please like and share this video throughout all social media platforms. That game that I just watched yesterday. A lot of errors, penalties from Jackson State. Whereas Grambling State played a clean game. And on Twitter, way before the game, I mentioned that I was excited about this matchup, Jackson State versus Grambling State, because I wanted to see if JSU, how they can handle playing a team that has good, strong running backs, has a quarterback, and is battle tested. They lost one game against Louisiana Lafayette, and you all know Louisiana Lafayette is one of those teams that they're not some average small FBS team. They're respected. And I saw how hard they played in that game and that they have an identity. Those are the toughest teams to beat because when you play against determined teams, you got to make sure you play a line assigned football. I know I keep saying it, but that should be the message of Jackson State. Playing a line assigned football. But here's the problem. Jackson State didn't do that. And they had a lot of turnovers. So I'm going to tell you what I saw in the game. Both sides. Starting with Grambling. Grambling did a great job of not doing too much. Now, they weren't being too conservative, but they took what the defense gave them, and they did a great job not fumbling the ball, not turning over the ball, just not too many stupid penalties. Matter of fact, in this game alone, they won the penalty battle. They had 4 penalties, whereas Jackson State had a whopping 11 penalties. And that's over 100 yards. You cannot win games playing like that, but let me digress. So I mentioned offensive identity. Check. For Grambling State, that is. Also, low penalties. Check. No interceptions thrown by Miles Crawley. He managed the offense. The offense was not in a rush. This is another thing I want teams to do. If you're a team that has heavy penalties, you need to slow down. You have all 25 seconds, I believe, 25 seconds of the clock to get set and run your play. Everybody should know what they're doing. And again, it comes to fundamentals. It just looked like, and I got to be honest, family, y'all know I'm not going to lie to y'all. Grambling State was more fundamentally sound in this game. We know that Jackson State has talent, but Jackson State's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. Even when they win games, there's times when they don't play to their talent level. Throughout my life, enamored with this game, hearing coaches talk about the philosophies of football, one of the things I've heard a coach, one of the best things I've heard a coach say, and I remember it clear as day, undisciplined football will always cause talented teams not to reveal their true talent. Let me say it again. Undisciplined football will always cause talented teams to not reveal their true talent. And ain't that the truth? Because Grambling State, they knew who they were. And they knew they weren't going to give this game to JSU. And that's why they won. They were just playing waiting for JSU to mess up. And they capitalized on it. 5 to 6 turnovers. You got to give credit to Grambling State. And I always say, when Grambling State is great, that's great for the SWAC. That's great for all HBCUs. Now to JSU. Let me start with the quarterback play. I could go many things with this. Defense, DBs. Let me start with the quarterbacks. The musical chairs with the quarterbacks. I understand if you put some specialty plays here and there, but you got to pick a quarterback. What's the saying? If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. And Cam McCoy, he's a sophomore. He's talented. He has a lot of potential. But sometimes he can make the risky throw. He's a gunslinger. That's in his DNA. Whereas Jacobian, at times he may throw the ball high here and there. But before this game, Jacobian didn't turn over the ball that much. Now, he did in this matchup because he came in the game late. And when you bring in quarterbacks in too late and they're rusty, there's going to be a time they're going to throw an interception or fumble the ball. And that's what happened to Jacobian. But before this game, Jacobian barely turned over the ball at all. But matter of fact, Jacobian Morgan, I believe, top 2 out of all quarterbacks in the SWAC in not turning over the ball. Number 1 is Richardson for FAMU. That's about it. So, again, is Jacobian perfect? No, he could get better. But if they would have started the game with Jacobian and just roll it like that, maybe you wouldn't have key turnovers. But this is not the main reason why they lost this game. I thought the play calling could have been better. And I'm not trying to go too hard on TC because it's the second year. I like to be fair with coaches that based on years. This is the second year as the head coach. But this team needs to be consistent. And I saw it on social media. Jackson State fans, y'all know how they are. They're going to keep it real. And it's not out of, negativity. It's just they're concerned about their team. They love their team. And they see the talent that this roster has. There's no reason to lose like that against Grambling. It's not that they just lost. They lost 41-20. This team is too talented to lose 41-20. I like some things I saw from the receivers. Jonas, he's a beast. And I hope he stays at Jackson State for a while because I know teams are going to be calling. I just know it. But I pray that he stays because he's a matchup nightmare. Isaiah Spencer, Travis Terrell, Irv Mulligan at the running back with J.D. Martin. Like the names I've listed. This roster has all you need to win games. It's the Jekyll and Hyde. And I mentioned earlier in this video, 11 penalties. You got to cut that crap out. You can't win games like this. And 5 turnovers, 3 fumbles, 2 interceptions, that's not going to cut it. You could lose to a lot of teams playing like that. Some throws by both quarterbacks were too high or too low. Or Jackson State, what they need to do is go back to the basics. You know that movie, Remember the Titans, when Coach Boone was like, if you fumble the ball, you run a mile. If you throw an interception, you run a mile. If you cause penalties, you run a mile. And I get it, this is the new day and age of football, but I'm being serious. JSU needs to do that. Because what I saw was ugly football. That's the most alarming part. If Jackson State would have lost to Grambling, let's say 20-23, but they only committed 1 turnover and they only had 5 penalties, but Grambling just had a couple plays and executed better, yeah, JSU fans, I think they'll be disappointed losing any game. You know how they are, but they could live with that. And this is not like the conference game. Yes, the SWAC conference game, but Grambling State's in the West and Jackson State's in the East. But I'm here to tell you, I don't think, and this is excluding the Jackson State game. You look at FAMU's schedule, right? I don't think they're going to lose. And if you take away the Jackson State game, we're going to talk about that. That's why I want to hold on that. Holding Jackson State, right? You look at their schedule. Family, be honest. You think they're going to lose to any of those teams in the SWAC? Seeing all those games? No. You know it. I know it. And JSU on their schedule is the only team that has the roster that could match up. But hey, if you do this against FAMU, it's going to get ugly because Daniel Richardson, he's really good at improvising and pump faking and the deep shot throws. The DBs at Jackson State, you look at them, height, weight, speed, you look at them and say, wow, they're talented. And they will get interceptions here and there. But when they don't get turnovers, when they're not tackling, then a lot gets exposed, giving up yards. And I'm telling you, I bet you Grambling State watched that Southern film. This is why you don't want to leave bad tape, because Grambling State's coach, I guarantee you, watched that Southern film in that second half when Jackson State's DBs were being lackadaisical, let's be honest, because they had a comfortable lead. Those coaches saw some weaknesses. This is the reason why when you play teams and when you're winning, you got to dominate for 4 quarters. In conclusion, for Jackson State, you pick one quarterback, you stick with one. You could run a play here and there. Whatever quarterback that you have coming off the bench. But you got to let your team know we're rolling with this quarterback for the season. Win, lose, or draw, we're going to roll with this quarterback. So there's no confusion. And I bet you a lot of those penalties come from the musical chairs of quarterbacks. You know how offensive line are. The cadences are different from different quarterbacks. So I can see a lot of offensive line, I ain't making excuses, being confused on the snap counts. That is another reason why you got to choose one quarterback. And plus, a lot of sloppiness. Some receivers, when they're catching passes from quarterbacks, they're used to certain things. So sometimes it's kind of like muscle memory. So when you keep switching quarterbacks, they're like, okay, this quarterback throws it like this, but this one throws it too high, throws it too low, and then they confuse themselves. That's why you saw a lot of drops in the second half. But I like the Jackson State receivers. I like the running game. They got to use Irv Mulligan more. They got to be creative, use 2-back systems. Here's another thing. I'm not even a coach, right? But I could watch things from NFL teams and see what works and what doesn't work. Example, Jackson State, as we all know, have 4 talented running backs. Because I really believe Ahmad Miller is talented and has like a high ceiling. Those 4 running backs. Let's start with the starting running backs. If Jackson State runs the 2-back pony package, and what a pony package is, 2 running backs, sometimes the number 2 running back motions across, and you could do a lot of things. You could do a option, run pass option route out of those. You can do double counters. You could be a creative with the pony package. I pray, because I like the talent of this team. If I'm Coach T.C. Taylor, I'm looking at San Francisco. I'm looking at the Rams. I'm looking at what's another team? Miami Dolphins, the Shanahan tree. And I'm copying some of those plays. And I'm having both J.D. Martin and Irv Mulligan starting the whole backfield together. And it's pick your poison. It is pick your poison. I just want to see more creativity. But if Jackson State could clean up the turnovers, stop hitting themselves, with bad plays every single time. Like sometimes you watch this team and they'll run like 5 good plays and then they just do 2 horrible plays, penalties at the wrong time. When they are getting yards, it's just a mess at times. When they clean that up, they look very talented. But when they don't play to their talent, it does not look good. They chose a wrong time to play bad football. As for Grambling State, I'm not trying to be cocky. If Grambling State continues to play their style of football, I look at their schedule, they're not going to play FAMU. They're going to play all the teams in the West. And you see the SWAC West is not dominant. The one team on the schedule that will give them a fight probably is Alcorn, because I believe Alcorn has pride. They always play tough. No matter what their record is, they always play tough. But besides that, I see Grambling State winning all their games. I'm not trying to put those expectations. I just look at their roster, their running backs. Miles Crawley, I just like his game. He is a leader. He's just a natural thrower of the ball. He looks the part, 6'4", 220. Like, he looks the part of what you want in the quarterback. But I'm excited to see the progression of these teams. This is RawTruth Media family. Tell me what you think about this video, about this game, what Jackson State needed to do better, what Grambling State needs to improve on. I hate that it was a lopsided game, but hopefully, you never know. Maybe they see each other again in the SWAC championship game. But for JSU, if you want to beat FAMU, got to clean it up. This is RawTruth, and I'm out.